بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبو الزهراء المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعا. Inshallah, continuing with the theme that we had yesterday, today I want to start off by posing a question to you all. And the question is simply this: what is the greatest trick that the devil has played on mankind? Something to think about. Well, one such individual that's mentioned, a possible answer, is a gentleman by the name of Charles Pierre, and he's a French poet, and he states, "The greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing the world he doesn't exist." I'm sure a lot of you have actually heard this statement. Maybe not from Charles Pierre, maybe from watching movies such as End of Days, Unusual Suspects, or Usual Suspects, I think is what it's called, in which this very statement has been used as a film dialogue. But it's a shame. It's a sign of the times. And I don't want to get distracted from what I really want to talk about, which is the nafs. But it is a sign of the times that we've gone from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has first instructed mankind through His holy and most beloved Prophet. When He first speaks to him, He says what? Iqra, read. We've left reading and gone to watching. Now you'll say, okay, what's the difference? Well, watching is a passive activity, whereas reading requires an active sense. It requires somebody to actually engage in whatever they're undertaking. And it's essentially this difference between watching and reading, which is the difference between the holidays that our government gives us, where we're passive, and the holy days Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, where we're active, or He's wanting us to be active. Please recite in salawat. Moving on. When I was last here in the month of Muharram, one of the things that generated a lot of conversation, discussion, was when we talked about, has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created evil? Is He the creator of evil? And we had a discussion and a question and answer session with regards to that. And I found that very, very interesting. And it made me think. And I thought, okay, let's develop on this a little bit more. So, we came to the conclusion that it wasn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who creates evil. What it is in essence is the absence of the love of Allah subhanahu that doesn't reside within the heart, and a level of lack of God consciousness that invites evil to reside. So whenever there isn't the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a place, or God consciousness, then the absence is evil. So you're thinking, okay, and I remember we mentioned a few things at the time. To give comparison, we talked about darkness doesn't exist like evil. It doesn't have a wujud. It doesn't have a physical form. What is it? It's the absence of light. In exactly the same way, I'm sure all of you are very conscious of this, thirst doesn't have a physical body. It's simply the absence of water in the body. Hunger, which we've all been going through for these past few days, isn't a physical body. It's the absence of food. In exactly the same way, evil isn't something that's created. It's simply the absence of God consciousness. Or what they say in Arabic? Taqwa. Please recite one salawat. One of the best examples that I've come across, personally speaking, is a conversation with regards to Allah's existence and also the non-existence or non-creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of evil. And it's a conversation, a very simple conversation that takes place between a butler